birthday to... It's so weird to sing this to you like 5 months before your birthday.
It's March. We're recording so many episodes early because I have to be on leave for the baby. So we're recording both of our birthday episodes in March.
I do have an early birthday present for you.
Oh, early? I was like, well, does it come in August? What's the deal?
No, an early birthday present. I'm going to flash you on the podcast again.
On video? On camera?
No. Off camera.
Okay. I was going to say, I feel like we can't show the world the bits. It's something people got to pay for.
Yes, of course. That needs to be behind a paywall. But no, you get free tits.
You're great. It's my only dream.
And I'm going to give you a coupon book. And at any time, if you ever just want me to flash a boob to you, you can ask
like,
for
it's
it.
been at least 3 years since I've seen your boob, so I'm cashing in a coupon.
And make sure they're okay.
There you go. Oh, it did take like 10 years or so to get a glimpse. Very opposite from what I've experienced with most others. But you are a never nude, so
I am.
It makes sense, and you're forgiven. I
Thank
forgive you for not showing me your boobs earlier.
You know, I waited for the right moment. Got to keep people guessing.
It was the perfect moment. This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Oh, yeah. 2 girls, 1 ghost. This will be your first birthday as a mother.
Mother.
I am mother now.
I want all my gifts to say mommy on them.
Do you really?
Creepy mommy. No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
That would weird me out.
I was like, are you one of those people who just like constantly wears mommy things? Is it not obvious enough that you are carrying a baby? Yeah.
No. I'm not that person.
You don't give me that person.
Are. It's hard because so many gifts, like if you look up like gifts for new mother, like they're all like that. They're all, it ain't me, baby. But
that's how I feel about like when people are getting married and the gifts are like Mr. and Mrs. and all of that. This is not to yuck anyone's yum, to use my favorite new phrase again, but it's just not my thing. And it just feels very, how often are you going to use that?
Right. And also, let's not forget that there's partners involved when it comes to marriage. And sometimes a lot of those gifts are way too, even if it's like one person style, most likely the other person is not going to use a cursive swirly mug that says fiance.
My mom is such that person. Like she is TJ Maxx, Home Goods, home is where the heart is sign, pillow type woman.
Yeah. A live, laugh, lover, which there's so many live, laugh lovers out there. That's why there's a whole market and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's become the default gift. And so for those of us that are not the live, laugh lovers, people are giving us your gifts and we want to give them back to you.
We want to give them to you. We should start, it's like a Goodwill, but it's for the live, laugh lovers.
Yeah, just like a donation bin where it's like, we got this Ray Dunn mug and it's just not perfectly us.
Also, we should do a poll. I'm so curious how many of our listeners are live, laugh lovers because I feel like we are, especially the people who are like our most haunted friends on Patreon, I feel like those people are so, I imagine Jendi, who is like creating dolls and like very like kind of creepy, but like in the most loving way. So I don't really feel like a lot of us are live, laugh lovers, but I'm curious how many of us are out there.
I don't know though, because even I have like a lot of friends and family members that are. And if I had to guess, I wouldn't have thought that they were, but they are. So I don't know. But bringing up Jendi is a good point because I think that we're in the same boat as Jendi where we would more easily accept a creepy ball joint doll or teeth than we would a mug that says wifey on it, you know?
Yeah.
We're unique in our own categories where a lot of people would be like, whoa, I don't ever want the gifts that you want.
For those of you who are live, laugh lovers, don't be ashamed. We embrace you and we love you. We see you. We acknowledge you.
Yeah, there's literally nothing wrong with it at all. That's why people have different styles and different tastes.
But also out yourself.
We've been very open with the types of things that we like. So now share what you like. Tell us, how different are you?
Expose your yums and I'll expose my yams.
I think that's a great call. But this is an encounters episode. And because it's my birthday in March, but in August when this comes out, I got to pick a category so we could theme this. And of course, I picked something a little bit nicer. I picked pets. I didn't necessarily say heartwarming stories from pets. I just themed it pets. Oh. So I did give you some flexibility, Sabrina, just in case you wanted to bend the rules.
I don't know that I bent the rules, but there are so many different types of pet stories, right? Like there can be the scary where it's like, did something ominous happen and like your pet warned you? Or they can also be sad because it involves the loss of pets. And then also pets are strange. Like, do they do odd things? Are they actually aliens? There's a wide array of options. Do you want to start?
I feel like, yeah, because it's my birthday. So now I'm milking it.
Well, it is your birthday. This is your birthday sode. We don't get to milk it in August when we would usually do it.
I will not be communicating with the world.
So my question, it's hard to ask, but like, you're going to be a new mom. Are you going to ask for anything for your 31st birthday? Or are you just going to like figure it out when it gets there?
You mean like for presents or like from the universe?
Well, both.
I don't know. I feel like even now, like I don't really have like a big list. The thing is, my asks are, I really like home decor and home design. And so I know my ask is just going to be something that I need for the house because my needs are also my wants. So
that's fair.
I'm sure my parents are going to be like, what do you want? And I'll be like, it'll be whatever makes my life easier, whether that's a bottle sterilizer or like a vintage portrait that I've been staring at a local flea market for like 3 months. I don't know what it will be, but I'm sure I'll pick something out.
I love that. What's that company that we both fell in love with? That I think they targeted us on Instagram, like something. Do you remember what I'm talking about? They're like, it's super expensive, but it's all like beautiful home goods, very like farm country.
Oh, I don't think they target me anymore. They probably stopped clicking on it because I can't afford it. I don't remember, but I'm sure now that you've brought it up, our phones will be it's like, I remember. And we'll start getting targeted ads.
Okay. Well, if we remember, we'll post it in the show notes.
That's the best way to shop. Whisper to all the ad agencies listening in on your phone and say, I want this.
Sponsor us.
Copper teapots from 1880. Copper teapots from 1880. And then they'll start giving it to you.
Yeah, perfect. That's how manifestation works.
That's literally how I shop online. I whisper things to my phone.
Start a podcast, talk about how much you want it, and then hope they sponsor you.
Wiggle those little fingers and it'll show up. Okay. So I feel like normally, and I definitely did choose these types of stories for my next two that I'll read, but I feel like when I think of pets, I'm always defaulting to the classic cat or dog. So I was like, let me find something else. And so I found an email called A Guinea Pig Ghost.
Oh my God, I love this.
Hi, you all. My name is Elizabeth. I recently started listening to your podcast when I ran out of creepy historical podcasts to listen to. I know that fear can make it more likely for otherworldly things to find you, but I do really love ghost stories. I'm just glad to have somewhere to write in about my own because even when my real life friends say that they believe me, I'm never really sure. Here's my only first-person ghost encounter I've ever had. When I was growing up in Wisconsin, I had a bitchin' book called Haunted Wisconsin, which contains stories that I remember to this day. So in this book, I think I remember a foreword that basically explains ghosts and the paranormal. Wait, actually, it may have been in another book that I kept in my childhood ghost story rotation. But anyways, I distinctly remember reading that animal ghosts aren't uncommon. However, the writer took care to note that usually animal ghosts are larger mammals and that it's not common for smaller animals like rodents or fish to have a paranormal afterlife. I have a lifelong affinity for rodents and mice and rabbits and hamsters, so reading that they were probably not going to be a ghost made me feel pretty bummed out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My sister had a guinea pig when I was 5 years old. We were 5 years apart, and she got the guinea pig from her 4th grade teacher who kept them and sometimes just wound up with too many guinea pigs at the end of the school year. The guinea pig's name was Nala, like from The Lion King, but other than that, I don't really remember her. I remember my sister and my parents didn't let me play with her too much. I think I was too little to be trusted with her. Nala didn't live very long, unfortunately. I remember burying her with my family, but again, she wasn't my guinea pig and I wasn't allowed to play with her unless someone could supervise me the whole time, so I don't really remember anything about her death. When my older sister moved out of the house, I moved into her room because it was bigger, and I lived there and then moved out to be an adult, but whenever I go home to visit my parents, that's the bedroom that I now sleep in. Such was the case one year when I came home to go to a hockey game with my family. The room gets really friggin' stuffy and hot for some reason, and I'd smoked in there that morning. Sorry. So when I went to go about my day, I opened the windows a little bit, I turned on the ceiling fan, and I shut the door. The ceiling fan is also a light fixture, so you had to pull the light cords in order to turn the bulbs off and still keep the fan going. I'm sure you know how ceiling fans work, but I just wanted to clarify that this means that if I were to flip the light switch, it would just turn the fan on and off. I'd need to pull the fixture's cord again to turn on the light.
I hate those types of bathrooms when you can't disconnect them. I feel so trapped when the fan is on.
I know. I just hate the pull string lights where you have to like physically walk up to them. I have them all throughout my basement, and I like have to traverse through 15 feet of darkness to get a light.
Right.
The hockey game was late at night, so it was dark by the time that I had to go back into the room and grab my purse before the hockey game. I flipped the light switch and nothing happened. Oh, right, I thought. Well, I needed the light to find my stuff. Now, I'm not that tall, so to get to the cord on this light fan, I usually would have to just go stand on my bed. I walked towards the bed and ceiling fan, and I realized that I didn't really feel like climbing up there. However, there was a floor lamp in the corner of the room just a few steps further, so I walked towards the floor lamp to turn that on instead. The floor lamp is against the wall and right next to my bed, so there's that whole under the bed space right next to my feet. But I wasn't thinking about anything grabbing my feet from under the bed. I really felt completely normal and unbothered. Therefore, it was very confusing when I put my fingers on the lamp switch, and before I could even turn on the light, I heard a little chirp, and something jumped over my bare foot. Like, I felt a whoosh of air blow over my foot as if something had passed over it, and then I heard an animal chirp. My first thought was that this was my sister's cat because her cat chirps more than she meows, but my sister wasn't there and neither was her cat. My brother and his cat were there, though, and his cat chews through cords and stuff. So my second thought was, damn it, now I have to get Al, the cat, out of here before he destroys my laptop charger.
Al.
I turn on the light. I search under my bed, my desk, the dressers. I find nothing. Well, maybe it was my cat who I'd brought with me. So I shut the door again. I poke my head into my mom's room and I ask her if she's seen my cat or my brother's cat. And she says my cat is right here. And indeed, my cat is sitting on my mom's bed grooming herself. So I go downstairs and I look for my brother's cat. My brother tells me that his cat has been with him the whole time that I've been upstairs. My door has been closed until I went in to turn on the lamp, and nothing was going to get into that room through a screened second floor window in the early days of Wisconsin winter. So what the frick jumped over my foot? Well, what else makes that chirping sound? A guinea pig, like the one that my sister had when this room was her bedroom. So I told my brother and my dad about what happened, and that I think it had to be the ghost of the guinea pig, as stupid as that sounds. And they're like, that's weird. I hope we don't have a mouse. Both my cat and my brother's cat would have probably snatched a mouse in the house. They've done it before, but the days go by and neither cat catches a mouse. So I decide it was definitely the ghost of my sister's guinea pig, but I don't tell anyone else about it besides my close friends. Over a year later, I'm texting my sister and I'm just talking about life in general. I mentioned that something really weird happened to me in her/my old bedroom when I walked through the room in the dark. And I tell her that I felt something rush over my foot and she asks, did you hear anything? And I'm like, yes, I heard like a chirping sound. My sister proceeds to tell me that every time she stayed in that room, her cat would jump over her foot and chirp and go under the bed. At least that's what she thought. But she recently moved to Japan and had to arrange separate transportation for her cat. So the last time that she visited my parents, her cat was in Hawaii awaiting her trip to Japan. And yet she still heard the chirping sound and felt something hop over her foot whenever she went to go turn the lamp on in the dark. I love that the cat was just on a Hawaiian vacation.
That I was imagining like the cat getting like professionally groomed, getting the nails done, prepping for vacation, and then flying first class.
Yeah, it's like lounging at the Andaz in Maui and like just grabbing like the mochi that they bring around the pool. It's like, oh, delicious.
Right.
I don't ever want to leave.
Mai Tais by the pool.
That's so good. Then my sister tells me that Nala the guinea pig actually died in a really horrific way. Which, why the fuck do all guinea pigs die in such brutal ways? Is it because we give them to really little kids?
Is it guinea pigs that like eat each other?
Maybe. I think they eat their babies.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
One day in the middle of the summer, Nala started seizing and bleeding. My sister was in the room at the time and watched the whole thing happen, frozen with fear and grief, and she said it was extremely traumatic. She also told me that Nala was the best guinea pig ever and that she would let her out of her cage to run around the room. And her favorite thing to do was to speed up at the corners and hop over things. What's funny is that when my sister and I both lived with our parents, whenever we answered the house phone, people would be like, oh, you sound just like your sister. I wasn't sure who I was talking to. We also look really similar. So I wonder if even Nala couldn't tell the difference between my sister and I and thought that she was saying hi to her instead of me. I was and am still shocked that my only firsthand ghost experience was with a guinea pig, because that's like not even supposed to be a common haunting, but it did happen. Guinea pigs have an afterlife. Thank you for listening, Elizabeth.
Okay, well, one, I do wonder why it is that like animals that are so small and have shorter lifespans don't have more hauntings. Is it just because they're smaller that we don't see them as often? Or is it because their lifespans are shorter that they reincarnate quicker? I don't know. But I do love
I'm not
that
sure.
little Nala keeps running around the room and just saying hello.
I know. And it's so cute that she gets like kind of like the zoomies and she like takes sharp corners and tries to jump over anything like an obstacle that's there. So every time someone walks there, she's like, oh my God, a new mound to jump over, this foot. I'll do it.
A new mound. Wait, did you know that you can train rabbits, like bunny rabbits, to use cat litter boxes?
I think I did know that. Yeah, because I had my friend Olivia had a rabbit.
What's the strangest pet that you had growing up?
Hermit crabs, sea monkeys.
I was just going to say hermit crabs. Hermit crabs were so strange.
Yeah. I feel like having hermit crabs, if you lived on the coast, it was such a thing. Where it's like you'd go to the beach or you'd go to the boardwalk and you'd just get a hermit crab.
I remember every summer when we'd go to Cape May, we'd come back with hermit crabs, and it was like a whole part of our vacation is like picking out your hermit crab. And then we would spend like...
How quickly did they die if you had to get them every year?
They don't live that long. And also, I don't think they're meant to be living in a human home.
No, mine lived like, oh God, I probably had mine 7 years before. I mean, I was in college and that thing was still alive. And so my parents gifted it to another family. Yeah. Also, here's another thing about hermit crabs, and this is probably why you thought that your hermit crabs were dying more, because I think that I might have thrown out a couple of hermit crabs in my past that were living. And this is like this kind of similar to hamsters. So hermit crabs, they'll molt, and so they'll remove their whole like ectoskeleton, and so they look like they're dead, but really they're just soft and like retreated back in their shell for a few days until they harden and come back out. And so it looks like they died for a few days.
Oh.
So you probably thought yours were dying and they weren't, because I definitely did that.
I'm going to have to like phone a friend, phone a mother for this one, because I'm curious how long we had them. Because I remember, and I was being facetious by saying that we got them every summer. But like, I just remember we kept them in like a hermit crab cage.
That like little plastic enclosure that they give you.
Yeah. And then we would spend like our time in the bathroom. We'd like let them roam around and run around. I mean, hermit crab run around. But yeah, I'm curious how long we actually had them for.
Yeah.
I'll ask my mom.
My hermit crab, I had a few. I had Alexa Vega. I had Pringles and Jonas. Pringles and Jonas went to battle, and I can't remember. I think Pringles was murdered by Jonas.
Well, then also you have to really make sure you have accurate shells for them when they like grow out of theirs. If you don't have the proper size, like they die from that too.
Oh, I also had duck.
You had a duck?
Yeah. No. Sorry. Duck was the name of my hermit crab.
Oh, I was like, excuse me, how did I not know this about you?
I had 4 hermit crabs in my lifetime. One of them got murdered. One of them got returned because he was being way too aggressive. So it lasted about 2 hours. And I was like, homie, you're not going to,
this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
I would love ducks.
And then also, I guess this is a PSA for people who have hamsters. I've never had a hamster, but I learned that hamsters, when they're cold in the winter, sometimes they hibernate and their heart rate will slow and it will appear that they're dead. And so there's definitely been a lot of hamster burials that have happened where people are burying their hibernating hamster.
So this started out as like a really sweet, beautiful, like pets. We love ghost pets, pet paranormal encounters, to a lot of you have buried your hamsters alive.
Murderer!
Okay, well, I have a story called Unidentified Ghost Cat and Guardian Angel Caught on Camera from our listener, Jeff.
Ooh.
Hi, ghostesses. My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
He, him. I'm a longtime listener. First off, I love the podcast so much. I saw your live show at the Bell House last October when you came to New York, and it was the highlight of my spooky season.
Yay!
The story is not about me. It's about my friend from high school, Carrie, and the haunted house that she grew up in. I've always believed in ghosts, but hearing her family talk about their experiences in this house is what first solidified my fascination with the paranormal. I've been meaning to share this for a while since it happened a few years ago, but let's take a trip back in time and start from the beginning. Carrie grew up in a very old house on Lake Michigan in Chicago's North Shore suburbs. Her bedroom was on the second floor, and the garage was below it. These were the only part of the house that had not been renovated, and so it was a hotbed for paranormal activity. Over a period of a couple years in her late teens, she would get strange feelings in her room at night. She described it as a complete intuitive feeling that someone else was in the room and that she wasn't alone. But it only happened at night and only on one side of her room, and only when she was alone in that room. Not every night, but sporadically. So the story first gets weird when Carrie began to see people standing in her room at night, but she chalked it up to dreaming. She would see a man and a woman, often looking at her from the closet, and then she would see a cat walking around her room. And note, they don't have a cat. They never had one. She'd also wake up feeling a very distinct feeling that someone was sitting on her. Not trying to hurt her, but just sitting comfortably on top of her while she was asleep.
Isn't that a thing cats do? They'll like sleep on your chest or try to sit on your face.
Well, okay, so it says on top of her legs. So yeah, it could have been a cat. Leia does like to snuggle up between my legs.
Yeah, and cats can be pretty beefy.
They can. We know from our own podcat, Leia. Sometimes it is like when I say words like that, you would think that I am a live, laugh lover.
You're not a live, laugh lover, but you are a dad joke lover.
Yeah.
And I guess they feel kind of adjacent. They're like in parallel paths, but they're still different.
Yeah. I'm meant to be a dad. Call me daddy.
Dad vibes.
You're mother, I'm daddy.
Perfect.
So now, though, I want mugs like that because it's like playing on a joke. Like you, like during our podcast, you're holding a mug that says mother and I'm holding one that says father or daddy.
Let's get them for when you come out and record next.
Okay. Okay. Back to Jeff's story. Okay. So Carrie's dog sleeps in the room and used to stare and growl at the closet as if she were looking at someone. She doesn't usually bark at anything besides people and other animals, but she would bark and growl at the closet on many of the same nights that Carrie felt those presences as well. As the TGOG community always says, trust your pets. But beyond that, her family used to hear footsteps coming from Carrie's room upstairs, even when no one was home and Carrie was not there. It feels like there's a whole ghost family, like a woman, a man, and a cat living in Carrie's room.
Right. This is one of those things where I'm like, is this a haunting or is this another sort of timeline dimension slip where there is just another couple and their cat living there and then they think it's haunted because they feel someone's presence.
Yeah. But it is weird that they keep coming from the closet, which very much to me feels like Coraline or Narnia. Where are they coming from? Why are they staring from me?
Very true.
Okay, so this is where the story gets really weird. This is when guests come into the picture. So for context, at this time in the story, Carrie was in college and her mom had friends and family over to their house a lot. So she would use Carrie's room as a guest room for overnight guests. The fall of Carrie's junior year, there were 4 guests that stayed in her room within a 3-month period. When Carrie returned home for Thanksgiving, her mom said that she was getting really weirded out and wanted to wait until she was home to tell Carrie about it. All 4 guests told her mom that they had experienced the same things, even though none of them had any knowledge of what was happening to Carrie prior to their stay in the room. They all said that they either woke up to someone sitting on them while they slept or saw a cat walking around in the middle of the night. One of them told Carrie's mom that she saw 2 people standing in the closet, a man and a woman. Her mom, as someone who was not a firm believer in the paranormal, became so freaked out that all the stories were the same that she finally started to believe that something was happening and decided to see a medium. She made an appointment without prior contact or without mentioning anything about the situation to this medium. She basically just asked him to give her a read. After first bringing up some unrelated, fully accurate, I might add, stuff that she was shocked to hear, the medium brought up Carrie. He said, "Your daughter has a dark aura around her, and I'm sensing that she has guardian angels that are trying to break through that. She has spirits following her." Like I said, Carrie's mom did not mention anything to him about Carrie's life, not even that she had a daughter in the first place. The medium then said that the 2 guardian angels are relatives that Carrie has never met, a man and a woman, and apparently this is one of the most chilling parts to me, the medium said that the family is supposed to find an old picture of a man laughing, and they will know it's him. They haven't found that picture, and I don't know that they know what relative it is, but for the other guardian angel, the medium said they'd find an old family picture of a woman on a porch with gray hair being blown by the wind. When Carrie's mom heard him say this, she knew exactly what picture he was referring to. It's her great-grandma, and they have that exact photo of the great-grandmother in their house.
I need to know the name of this psychic because this is someone who seems to be completely spot on, given no leading information at all. This is someone I want to go see.
I know.
Yeah.
They're in Chicago. That's what we know. So the activity continued on and off for a while. Eventually, they renovated Carrie's room and the garage, which had been planned previously and was not an effort to get rid of the ghosts. But nonetheless, the activity stopped after the renovations, and Carrie hasn't seen the ghosts or felt their presence in the room since. Fast forward to now, a few years later, and I still have so many questions. What was the dark aura around her? Is it gone? Who's the man in the picture? And who, what/where did the ghost cat come from? One of the nights that Carrie felt like there was someone else in the room, she took a selfie with flash to see if the camera could detect anything. I believe she tried a few times without any luck, but this night, she uncovered something. It's really hard to distinguish, and I can't really see it clearly, but according to some people, they can see a man's face behind her in the middle of the frame. They all point to the same part of the picture and say that there's a man with a bowl cut whose mouth is in the shape of an O as if he's whistling. I'm attaching the original photo here for you to be the judge, plus a version with brightness increased for better clarity and a screen recording of the live photo. Please feel free to post this photo screen recording on any channels you like. And if you're able, let me know if you end up reading this. See you on the other side, Jeff. So we can look at the photos. I don't see anything right off the bat.
I don't see anything either. Let me look at the video. It's so interesting because it's like there's something dark following her, but also part of me really felt like that family that was there, the man and the woman and the cat. Like I just thought they were, I don't know, I guess I thought that they were benign.
Me too. And I guess they are, though, if they are guardians, right? Like,
are they the guardians, though? Or?
I think they're the guardians. I think it's a man and a woman.
Okay, so there's something else darker that we haven't experienced. It's just...
Right. And that's why they're around so much, because
guardians.
they're trying to protect Carrie.
Ah, and they chose the closet as their portal entry.
Well, I am curious if like there was a certain material being used in the renovation that maybe perhaps like acts as a anti-ghost. Like, you know how like so many things are conduits or conductors for paranormal activity? I wonder if there's some type of metal or, I don't know, something used that prevents them from physically appearing.
Good point. Yeah, it is very interesting. I wonder who the cat is to them. Like, is the cat separate or was the cat theirs?
Well, I'm curious if the great-grandmother had a cat and if they ever figure out who this man was in terms of an ancestor, if he had a cat. Or
the smiling man from the photo.
Yeah, whistling man. Or if the cat is just a spirit guide.
I wonder if there's going to be some weird thing where they're like in Goodwill or something and they see a photo and it's of this whistling man and they feel called to it. And then they buy it. And when they bring it home, they like flip the photo around and it says like who it is and it's a relative, you know, called back to the photo.
I would truly, after hearing that conversation with the medium, I would be going through every photo of all of my ancestors.
Same. All right, well, this email caught my attention because it's titled, Was My Dog Abducted by Aliens?
Oh my God.
Hello, ghostly goddesses Leia and Sven. My name is Cheyenne, she, her, and I'm obsessed with the pod. I've been listening for a few years and I've now binged all the episodes, sometimes even more than once, LOL.
Oh my gosh.
Thankfully, yeah, thank you for that. Thankfully, I have a desk job where I can just pop in my headphones and be blessed with 8 hours of your lovely tales and stories. My friend Miranda got me hooked. Gotta love that pyramid scheme. And we've even gotten more friends into it as well. Hell yeah!
Woohoo!
We were at your Richmond show in October and brought y'all the Raggedy Ann dolls. Oh my gosh.
Cheyenne and Miranda.
Can you see my Raggedy Ann doll? Like, you can see her legs, I guess, up in the corner of my bookshelf that I'm still working on.
I hope you guys know how much we love these dolls. Truly, they are our prized possessions.
Yes. They were our comfort dolls. They were our emotional support dolls on tour. And now the doll's part of my house tour when people come to my house.
Yeah.
Like, this is my office, but that's my Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah. And they also became like a major part of our set for the show.
Yeah, it was. God, we love them. Thank you guys
Thank you so much.
Hope these dolls aren't haunting you too bad. It was such a fun show and absolutely loved meeting you both. Y'all are the most genuine and lovely women. This is just a bunch of compliments at the top. Thank you.
It's so nice.
I'll skip ahead.
You.
Anyway, on to the story. In 2018, my boyfriend, now husband, and I moved 2.5 hours away from my friends and family to Richmond for his new job. I knew no one and was really lonely and depressed. I didn't have a job yet and also hadn't made any friends. And I was also battling with some health issues that I just found out about. So needless to say, I was having a really hard time and I was super depressed. The only thing I thought would cure my depression and loneliness was to get a dog. Dakota has been one of the best things that has happened to us.
This is so sweet.
It is so sweet. She is the sweetest golden doodle that can often get mistaken for a lion at times. She's a large, 75-pound fur ball with a bark that can be very intimidating and has always given me comfort until one October night. We had just moved into a house that was tucked away in a quiet little neighborhood. Our back door looked into the direction of the water treatment facility that's 2 streets behind us, and we can't see anything related to the building or the property, but we do know that it's back there. It just looks like woods from our backyard. My husband was gone for the evening, and I was home alone with Dakota. It was around 9 or 10, and I go and I let her outside for the last time before we go upstairs to bed. As I'm letting her out, I notice that these large lights in the sky are hovering over the trees right above this facility. There are about 12 of them, and they look like really large football stadium lights. I don't think much of it, thinking that maybe they're just associated with the facility, and I let her outside to do her thing. As soon as I let her out, she starts to bark. But I leave her out there so that she can go to the bathroom before bed. I finish shutting everything down for the night, and I go back to get her about 15 minutes later. As I'm at the back door, I notice that the lights seem to be gone, and that is when I start to think. 1, those lights collectively would have been the size of like a 747 plane. 2, the facility does not have any large stadium lights, and especially not tall enough to tower over 100-foot tall trees.
Yeah.
Their parking lot lights are an average streetlight size, and I've never been able to see them from our house. And 3, it wasn't the reflection of any lights that were in or around my house. For one, I'm a lamp girly, so I never have any of the large overhead lights on. And when I was letting her out this time, the house was dark in that area.
Even if you live there for like a couple days, you would notice if that facility like had massive lights on at night.
Yeah, it seems very out of place.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little freaked out, but I continue on with my night thinking to myself, there's no way, just no way. That's something that you see on Unsolved Mysteries or something. And then I kind of forget about it until a few days later. I'm on my way home from work and I give my husband a call to see what he wants for dinner, and the phone rings about 2 times. And then the call starts the timer, indicating that someone has picked up. I never heard anyone say hello, but I go ahead and I start to talk. No one ever responds, and then I hear some rustling in the background. In the past, my husband would put Dakota on the phone as a joke so that I could have her hear my voice. So I thought that maybe this was the case here. So I'm talking to her, and I continue to talk to her for a minute until I start to feel a little silly, and then I say, okay, seriously, what do you want for dinner? And then the phone hangs up. Thinking that was really weird, but I can't do anything about it. I just keep driving, and then I pull over for some gas, and then I'm on my way again. About 5 minutes later, my husband calls me, and I say, what was that about? He says, what are you talking about? And I promptly tell him the series of events that had just happened and how he hung up on me. What are you talking about? I've been outside with Dakota for the last 30 minutes. My phone has been inside on the coffee table the entire time, he says. Well, someone answered my call and was making a ton of noise on the other end. I thought you were messing around with me and putting Dakota on the phone. Nope, we've been outside. I ask him multiple times, are you serious? You're not messing with me? He is not usually one to joke around with this sort of stuff. He doesn't like to be scared and certainly does not believe in ghosts or the paranormal, to my dismay. Side note, when we were in the process of buying the house, I wanted to pay $30 to whodiedinmyhouse.com to see if our new house had the potential of ghosts, but he said, no, ignorance is bliss. So needless to say, this kind of prank would never cross his mind. Life carries on and we kind of forget about it. And we have a few strange things that happened in the house, mainly random things, breaking and small noises, but really nothing significant. About a year later, we just finished changing out a light in the kitchen and start putting away all the tools. We have this electrical pen that will tell you if you have a wire that is hot and needs to be cut. It really makes a loud beeping noise and then it lights up red. My husband was messing around with it, checking some random things to see if the lights would go off, and he happens to pass over Dakota's head, and the pen goes off. We both look at each other in awe, and he passed it over Dakota's head again, and again, it goes off. A little freaked out, he waves it over some other random things to see what it does, and he has some screws in his ankle from a surgery when he broke his ankle in high school. He waves it over that to see if maybe it's something to do with metal. Nothing. Even if that's the case, it still wouldn't make sense because our dog should not have metal in her head. The pen is lighting up when we place it at the crown of her head, but it doesn't anywhere else on her body. She's
So
not
weird.
microchipped. And even if she was without us knowing, which we got her at 8 weeks old, she would have it near her shoulder. Nothing about this makes sense. So now the running joke is that Dakota was abducted by aliens that one October night. And since then, she's always been able to see things that we can't. Staring off into the corner, following something with her eyes. I just want to know what she saw that chilly October night. Love you both. Stay safe. I'll see you on the other side. Cheyenne.
Okay, well, my conspiracy brain is now like, well, is that really a treatment facility or what are they actually doing there? Maybe it's something more mischievous and...
Very Stranger Things.
Right. Like, I feel like there's some weird electricity thing happening over there.
Mm-hmm. Especially for so many spaceships to come down, because it does seem, unless that was just like one giant ass craft and you were seeing
Sure.
all the different lights underneath it, but it does kind of seem like it was a pod of spaceships.
Now
maybe.
I want to do a stakeout. Let's go investigate this facility.
I know.
You have easy access, Cheyenne.
Cheyenne does have easy access. It's so close. Just have your dog take you because clearly she's one with the aliens now.
Yeah.
Miss Dakota is. But it does make me think it's odd that the phone was answered. But part of me doesn't think it's paranormal. Part of me thinks that it's some sort of like government tapping, listening in on the call. Accidentally, maybe someone like accidentally picked it up when they were just supposed to be like tapping in to listen to the convo.
But what are they trying to get from Cheyenne and her husband?
If like anything weird has happened with their dog, like if they know. It's just like, I don't know. I'm thinking back to one of my friends from college who accidentally drove through like part of Area 51 and was escorted off of the property, and his phone was tapped for like a month or two after that.
That makes sense to me though. But like this facility is truly in their backyard. That one to me feels a little paranormal.
So weird.
I'm curious if there was like the phone log, if it showed that he picked up.
If it even showed. Yeah. And I know that you don't want to subject Dakota to any like testing or things that she doesn't need to have. But like if there were ever anything medically in the future that does need to happen, like if she needs any sort of scan, Cheyenne, I beg of you to have them look at her head.
Yeah.
Because how bizarre. How bizarre. They should get an EMF reader and just like all the different types of ghost hunting equipment and put it by Dakota's head.
Just see what happens. I feel like the pen kind of is an EMF reader.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Okay. I have a ghost dog story. This is from our listener, Emerson, and it's called A Ghost Dog in My Grandma's Car. And I will say that this has a trigger warning of like a sad pet death, but is not a sad story overall. Okay. Hello, ghostesses. I am absolutely obsessed with the podcast. My sister and I emailed a while back with some stories from our haunted little suburb, but this is not actually mine. It is a story my grandma told me the last time she came to visit. My grandma is a religious lady and downright refuses to believe in ghosts or witchcraft or any of that stuff. So naturally, I was pretty surprised when she told me this story. And it was even more surprising that she gave me permission to share it with you for the podcast. When my grandmother was in high school, she saw a news story that a house in the neighboring city had burnt down. Although the news said no one was hurt, my grandma somehow intuitively knew that a dog had actually died in the fire. She told me the next day at school, she felt a dog following her throughout the entire day. So during her lunch break, or maybe it was after school, she and a few friends loaded in her car with an empty seat for the ghost dog. My grandma and her friends drove all the way to the neighboring city in complete silence. She had never been to that house before, but somehow she knew exactly how to get there. When they arrived at the house where the fire had happened, my grandma told her friend in the back seat to open the car door. She told me she watched as the ghost dog jumped out of the car and walked towards the house. Her friends then closed the door and drove back to their home in silence.
My jaw has dropped. This is so wild.
Happy haunting. See you on the other side, Emerson.
Oh my God. Okay, Emerson's grandma, I feel like must have some other mediumship and abilities, because to just feel it so intensely where it's like, I know exactly what happened. I know how to get here and I know that I'm supposed to be doing this, and just kind of like let yourself be taken by your intuition and just go with the flow. Like there's so much power to that and so much trust in that I am very curious about Emerson's grandmother now.
I do feel like it's the people who like so adamantly don't believe that end up being the most intuitive and like have the most abilities. Yeah. What's that book we read? It was like, we read it for a podcast book club a while back. We both didn't love it, but it was about the woman who had the ability and like she could see their light and they would come communicate with her, the spirits. Something about like supper club, like book club, ghost supper club or something.
I've got to go to my Goodreads. Let's just take a minute and figure out what this is.
But anyway, as you look for the title of the book, it reminds me of that where Emerson's grandma saw the news story, and because she intuitively knew about the dog, like the dog came to her and was like, needed to be brought back to the house. Like the dog was like a little bit lost in the paranormal plane, and Emerson's grandma helped kind of guide the dog through the afterlife.
That is very sweet. That the dog also knew who to go to get the help, like knows who's going to follow through. It was the Kindred Spirits Supper Club. We read it back in 2021.
Kindred Spirits Supper Club. Yeah. Who's it by?
I don't even remember what happened to the book. Amy E. Reichert.
Okay.
It has pretty good. Oh, it's a rom-com with a supernatural twist. That's probably why I don't remember it. I very rarely remember any of the plots that have romance in them.
I remember us talking about it afterwards, and it was very much like a very different perspective on how the paranormal world works from what you and I have understood through the years of the podcasting. Yes. So I think we got stuck on that a little bit.
I'm looking at my ghost reads now, and I'm like, my ghost reads.
Your ghost reads.
My good reads. It is like ghost reads.
Your ghost reads.
But some of these books, I'm like, man, I really can't remember what most of these books are about that I've read. Makes me want to reread them. The ones that I'm like, 5 stars.
I know.
Like, did I love it? What is it about?
That's what our book club should be. Ghost reads.
I love this.
Okay.
We're assigning ourselves more homework too, because I feel like we should have a list where it's like almost like our own Goodreads, where it's ghost reads, where it's like all the books that we've.
I feel like that's pretty easy for us to do. We can.
Yeah, because we haven't had that many book clubs.
I was thinking about our October series, if we should do like every other episode is like terrifying, the next is lighthearted, so that people have the options.
It's a catch-all. The kitchen sink.
Yeah.
A few encounters ago, someone said everything but the cryptid sink. And I feel like this is kind of the vibe of our October. That's what it could be.
Yeah, we should do that. Well, happy birthday, Corinne. I love how many paranormal encounters we have with pets. And so if you have a pet-related encounter or just any paranormal encounter, it could be yours. It could be from a friend. Like we had 2 stories who were retelling someone else's story. Please email it to us at twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com and wish our lovely mother, Mommy, a very happy birthday. Mommy.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. I'm sure it will be great when it happens. All right. Well, a variety of ways to support the show. You can join us on Patreon for some amazing bonus content, campfire stories every Tuesday, ad-free 1 week early episodes dropped every single week, and book club, ghost book club, whatever I just said. I don't remember anything anymore. You can also rate and review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Mm-hmm. You can tell other people about us. It's a pyramid scheme.
And thank you so much to our producer and editor, Jamie Ryan, for editing our audio and video of our podcast. We're so grateful for you. And thank you to all of you for listening. We love you all.
And we will see you on the other side.